Live from Soho, New York City, it's Wearable Electronics with Ladyada this week.
That's right, I'm filling in for Lady Becky, who is on special assignment today out in the world.
Oh, she's on vacation.
On vacation.
Yeah, we ask people to take vacation sometimes.
Or if she's a spy. I mean, like,
yeah, it could be.
I don't know.
Becky is such a talented and wonderful person. It takes the two of us to do this show without her.
I think we can do a good Becky impression, though.
No, I can't do a good Becky impression. I think she's hard to do impression because she has such a personality that doesn't allow impersonation. There's only one original Becky.
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy.
Demand the original, but when you can't, like today, you get me.
I could do a Ladyada impression. Engineer. I got capacitors and everything. All right. As you can see, look at this nice banner that I made.
I don't like capacitors all the time.
Okay, sometimes you're about resistors.
All right, anyways, we got exciting wearable fun for you today with a half-hour wearable show.
Yeah. All right.
I'm excited. This is my first wearable show.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do this
Just like on Ask an Engineer, I go over what's on today's show.
Okay, what's on
today's show? The code is Kakoshnik.
Kakoshnik.
Kakoshnik. Use the code Kakoshnik. You'll understand why soon. But that'll get you 10% off in the Adafruit store and everything in the wearables and Flora section. Cool stuff. We'll be going over Wearable Wednesday. And that's when we bring you the wonderful world of wearables around the web. It's a lot of W's. We'll have some LED projects and more. Then we're jumping right into Kakoshniks.
I love it.
It's Kakoshnik hour here. We'll explain a little bit about that and more. We'll be going through wearables past, and this consists of a lot of embarrassing photos of Ladyada and myself. And then we'll go over...
At least we have something in common.
Yeah, we'll go over component of the week.
We both have great embarrassing photos.
Material spotlight. We'll answer your questions, and we'll also give away a prize. All that and more on Wearable Electronics with Ladyada this week. All right, let's dive right in, Ladyada.
Okay, hi.
Okay, I'll be on Twitter, and I'll be doing lots of things on the side here. You're just going to be hanging out doing your thing.
Can I wear the Kakoshnik yet?
Not yet.
Oh.
Not yet. I'll tell you when.
Okay.
Okay, so first up, let's pay some bills. Don't forget, folks, the code is Kakoshnik, 10% off everything in the wearable section.
Try to spell it right.
And the Flora section. Yeah.
You get 10% off all materials necessary to build your own electronic Kakoshnik.
It expires tonight at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so first up, I want to jump right into Wearable Wednesday.
Okay.
Wearable Wednesday, check out the blog and look at all the cool Wearable Wednesday posts today.
There's some really good posts because I get to see the posts sometimes a couple days beforehand.
Yeah.
So this is fun. This was on the show and tell.
This is on the show and tell, and I believe this is the first ever homemade Pong game that you play on a shirt. Okay. And you're probably saying, well, it just looks like it's lit up and it says play Pong or Pong play. We have a video. And so check this out. Yeah, check this out.
Okay.
Yeah. So he has a controller that he made with our stuff.
Yeah.
A little slider. And he's actually playing Pong on a shirt.
Yeah, that's nice.
Isn't that neat?
Is it? Do you know if it's a flexi strip or is it like a stiff PCB?
I think it's just our
flexi strips.
Our flexi strips, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's right underneath his shirt.
All right. Well,
isn't that cool?
He's doing a good job, and it's a color, which is just even better than normal Pong.
Yeah.
Okay.
So check that out on the site today. Super cool. Next up, someone made their own variation of the Firewalker shoes, and they put them in a boot. So as you walk around, isn't that cool?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. There's only a couple of neopixels, and they flicker in different ways. That's kind of nice.
Yeah,
and a little bit of flicker effect. Different colors too.
Yeah, you can look it up there too. And so the other thing that's happened is this year seems to be the year of the neopixel. And one of the cool things that
not the year of the snake, dragon,
one of the cool things that you did is you made the NeoPixel rings fit inside of goggles. Specifically, you did this.
Yeah, because when I was young and I would go to goth clubs, and there was this one kid who was really cool, and he had these goggles, and he just stuck some LEDs in. And this was back when you couldn't even get blue LEDs. This was like blue LEDs were like $8. So there's a couple of I think it was a blue LED and a red LED or something, like one in each eye. And he just had them in these goggles, and they were full of diffuser. And I was like, that's so cool, like LED goggles, that's such a good idea. And so 15 years later, whatever, 18 years later, I'm like, hey, because I'm working with the NeoPixels, and I'm like, oh, one of the cool things about this is you can not only make grids, because everyone makes grids, but you can now make strange shapes because you don't have to worry about routing the driver lines, because that's a big problem. Like normally you would use a driver chip that would multiplex, which means that if you want to have strange shapes, you have to pass, like with a square, because it's got all that space behind it, you could pass all the digital power lines and the signal lines.
Yeah.
With a NeoPixel, because there's only one pin that you use to transfer data and then power and ground, it actually makes it really easy to make like weird shapes. You can make like a squiggle PCB shape because it doesn't matter how long it is, the data gets sent pin after pin, and because the chip is inside, it's a single side design. Anyway, so all this came together.
Do you know anything about this goth club that you're at? Because maybe that guy is out there.
Man Ray, it got shut down.
Man Ray?
Yeah.
Man Ray. So, and what year was this maybe? Do you remember?
Oh, this was like 98.
Okay, so if you were a goth guy in 1998 at Man Ray and you were wearing goggles,
There was like 50, yeah, there was 50.
please email us. We'd like to know because you helped inspire a cool project.
Yeah, I think there's also stained glass. I don't remember exactly the deal. This was a very long time ago, and I did a lot of drugs, but it was definitely cool looking.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want LED goggles. Also, we went to Burning Man.
We did.
And people wear goggles. You have to wear goggles all the time because
Yeah.
there's these dust storms. And so you have these goggles on, but like you also want to have stuff that's lit up because there's no lights there. You can
Yeah.
get like hit by like a dragon car or something, which is like a common problem.
Yeah.
So having something that was lit up, I was like, okay, let's combine this. And then, I had the goggles. So I still had these goggles that I've had for like since I was 16. These goggles I got from the Army Navy store.
I've moved these goggles.
We moved these goggles
many
16
times.
apartments,
Yeah.
and I measured them, and I was like, oh, I could put 16 LED ring inside, and so I designed that, and
Yeah.
it became extremely popular. And luckily, almost all goggles use like the 50 millimeter or something,
Yeah.
the 52
Yeah, yeah.
millimeter lens, so you can actually, there's all sorts of different goggles that you can use and fit these little LED rings in.
So here is a series of projects, because like I said,
That's the story of the LED NeoPixel
yeah,
goggles.
goth guy, email us. So here's some of the goggles that came into the site. I wanted to show you all these things.
Yeah, these have a white diffuser.
Yeah, and they're really neat.
These might even be using the goggles that we have in the store now.
Yeah.
We actually got costume goggles to put in the store because so many people are building goggles.
Yeah, and then this
This is
is
actually a different project, but it was still cool.
yeah, and so I just wanted to show all these different goggles and what people are doing. And
LED goggles, you could wear it with anything. You don't have to. You can be dressed up. You can be
Yeah.
not so maybe dressed up.
they go with anything.
You can be a lady. You can be a kid.
Doesn't-
You can be an adult. You can be older. You can be steampunk. You can be circus punk. You can be space goth.
Yeah.
You can be just like somebody who welds.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And
Goggles are for everybody.
and speaking of, here is the cutest video you're gonna see today.
Okay.
A kid with these goggles.
It's not like puppy skateboarding, is it?
Goggles. Take
Oh,
a picture with this.
Is that your ID badge?
Yeah, you take a picture with it?
Yeah,
Take a picture.
I did. Let me see your goggles again. Ooh, they're yellow now. Now they're red. Cool.
You wear them?
Oh, you wear them.
You wear them, Mom? You can wear them.
Ah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Super cute at the end. He goes, "Do you want to wear them too?" Oh, so cute.
Really?
Yeah, super cute.
I like it. I wish my parents had made me LED goggles.
Yeah,
If you want to be a good parent, you have to make LED goggles now. That's the bar is high,
yeah.
very high.
Um,
Okay. Anyway, LED goggles, very popular. People are making them.
yeah.
And with Trinket, it's really easy too. It's only like 3 or 4 soldering wires. Very easy.
Everybody's probably wondering, what is this crazy code, Kokoshnik? Well, this is what a Kokoshnik is. It is a Russian headdress that people wear. And here's the Wikipedia page to the Wikipedia. The Kokoshnik is a commonly used name for a variety of traditional Russian headdresses worn by women and girls to accompany the safaran, primarily worn in northern regions of Russia until the 16th and 19th centuries. Well, it's also something that people probably saw from Queen Amidala,
Okay.
from episode 1.
Yeah,
I believe it was episode 1 of Star Wars.
This was, yeah. I
Yeah,
think this was
and so this is where a lot of people probably first saw something like it. Now, here at Adafruit,
There's probably other cultures that have like headdresses. Like it's not an unusual thing.
every culture probably has a headdress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put something like goggles.
Get all this head real estate, may as well do
What are you
something
gonna
with
do
it.
with it?
Yeah, so in the modern age, we thought, wouldn't it be cool to have something that used electronics and used 3D printing? So we're
Look at
pleased.
all that space you could put circuits on.
Yeah, so we're pleased to show this video. This is from Noah and Pedro Ruiz, our friends, and they made this wonderful video, and we'll be showing this off in just a second. So here is the video.
Here's an elegant wearables project for those really special occasions. a 3D printed LED hairdress powered by a NeoPixel ring and Gemma, Adafruit's tiny yet powerful wearables microcontroller. Find out what you need and learn how you can build this project by checking out our guide on Adafruit's learning system. First, we drew out the illustration and exported the vector paths. In Tinkercad, we imported our design, extruded the shape, and exported it as an STL. The hairdress was printed in white ABS and takes about an hour to print. The surface that's printed on the heated build plate has great surface quality. We added rhinestones and pearls to bedazzle the design that is sure to make you shine like a diamond. The circuit combines a NeoPixel ring and the Gemma to make a tiny, lightweight package that fits behind the hairdress. Our two-piece enclosure nicely fits the circuit and has a spot on the lid that fits a tiny power switch. The case is printed in transparent PLA to diffuse and soften the NeoPixel ring. The lid tightly snaps onto the case, and a tiny rechargeable LiPo battery fits inside and creates an elegant little package that can easily be turned on and off. You can grab our design files and code on our complete guide. The link is in the description below. What awesome projects will you come up with? Let us know by joining our weekly show and tell show right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching and subscribe.
And we're back. Okay.
Super elegant.
Yeah, so we also have a couple cool animated GIFs. This is the headdress, and then this is kind of a close-up. So maybe, do you want to show it over the on your head there?
I can show it on my head.
Okay.
So I put my hair back so I could.
This is what it looks like on a Ladyada.
Yeah. So the only thing is you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, there you go. So you can sort of see
Yeah.
it from the shade.
Okay.
So you put your hair back and you have a bun or your hair, you know, if you have an updo, then it's not so bad.
Yeah.
If you do it right, you have to have your hair really high. I don't have somebody do my hair, so I just pulled it back. But if you have like a hairdresser, they would probably tie your hair around it a little bit, so it sit really solidly.
Yeah. Do you want to show it on the overhead real quick?
Yeah, sure.
What it looks like? So.
Let me get all these components out of the way.
Yeah. So you can see
You've
it.
got there's a NeoPixel ring, and then there's this little cutout, and this is LED blinks once in a while. Then you got these like sparkly things, and it's laser cut out. It's 3D printed out of ABS, I believe. But you could also laser cut this design. Honestly, it's quite flat. If you used a thin plastic, it would probably be laser cut. Like PET would be good, and then you could maybe color it or something.
Yeah.
And then you do want to 3D print maybe the casing on the back. This is really a nice casing as a press fit top, so you can sort of just pull this off, and you can see everything comes out.
It's as if
There's
you
a switch.
designed Gemma to work perfectly with these LED rings,
Wait,
these
actually,
NeoPixel rings.
I didn't quite, but it kind of does. I mean,
Shh. Hindsight.
it does. They do fit quite nicely inside, which is really good. And then there's an on-off switch, which is also really nice. And then you can, pull the battery out to recharge it. You can also use a coin cell if you want to, although a li-poly battery works pretty well.
I mean, we don't have a complete roadmap of everything we're going to do for years in advance.
I don't even know what I'm doing on Friday.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, so I'll wear this.
Next up. You know what, by the way, before I move on, there's a full tutorial, as always, with all the files on Thingiverse and the stuff that you can download. Please make these and post up photos and videos.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, please do. Okay. Next up,
pull my hair higher
so Becky's on vacation this week, and we were trying to decide if we should do the show. And we're like, yeah, you and I have done wearable stuff. And so I went through the archives, and man, do we have some embarrassing photos to show all of you.
Wait, what?
Luckily, we're not broadcasting this live on the internet forever.
Whatever you do, don't put this on YouTube, okay?
Yeah. So here's some photos. Maybe you can explain a couple of these things. So this isn't so embarrassing. This is just a diagram of a wearable thing, and here's a photo. Looks like a pretty neat vest.
This is a wearable system that I worked on at the Media Lab. I was a UROP there, and then sort of an undergraduate researcher, and then I did some also electrical engineering work here. So this was the wearables group, which was part of another group. Actually, it was a subgroup. And I did some sewing and a little bit of soldering, and I think I even did some microcontroller programming, and I also did modeling. I did a whole bunch of random. I mean, it was like random time because it was a Media Lab, so it was like okay, time to prep for demos, time to order parts from DigiKey.
This was in 1999.
This was in '99.
Yeah.
This was around the same time I saw these LED goggles at some goth club. So yeah, this is using. I don't remember the name of the micro optical.
Was it the iTap?
No, iTap was a separate project. That was like a project.
Yeah.
This I think was called the micro optical, and it was a little lens that went to a micro display. These were extremely expensive. I think they were a couple $1,000s.
Oh, yeah.
And they only did like VGA resolution, and it was it was a little microcomputer, and then it went to a single board computer, which was actually pretty much like a Raspberry Pi. It wasn't nearly as powerful. There was basically, you can see there's these computer boards. One was basically what would be a single board computer, Raspberry Pi or BeagleBone type thing, that drove the display, and I think we did some sort of like analog board to do the actual display driver stuff, and it was all driven off of camcorder batteries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like FP 750s, FP 550 display camcorder batteries. It was pretty chunky, and like back then you couldn't fit all of these electronics into a phone, and there was no such thing as Bluetooth pairing. Like Bluetooth was just being invented, basically.
Yeah.
And also you couldn't write programs for cell phones. There was no like, now it's like if you have like a Google Glass type thing, it's paired to
Yeah.
a phone. Back then you couldn't do that. There was no, the idea of being able to write custom software for a phone was completely alien.
Yeah.
You got a phone, and whatever it came with was whatever you got to run. You couldn't run
Yeah.
your own code without signing 15,000 NDAs
Yeah.
and like signing up for a development environment. You were never able to release it.
So you were doing wearables back in 1999, and I remember like going through the archives of some of these photos. You were always working on miniaturization of these platforms. This is when you were still sewing, you were still doing this stuff, and this is where like Flora came out of Gemma, like all the stuff that you wanted to do at Adafruit.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to do like LED video jacket type stuff, and it's actually possible now.
Yeah.
And also another thing is all these sensors, we had accelerometers from analog, and this was like the first MEMS accelerometers, like the ADXL 201 or something. And this thing was like $40. It was like made out of steel or something. It was impossible to, you couldn't get a breakout. You had to solder it yourself. If you were working with these sensors, just trying to do basic sensing stuff, and you couldn't get what we have now. So it's funny that now we have, like for the Flora, one of my favorite sensors is we have a compass accelerometer, the LSM303, which is a triple axis compass plus a triple axis magnetometer, and it's like the sensor is like $4. So you can put on a breakout, and maybe it's like $5. I don't remember, but it's a lot less than like the $50 or $60 that they used to be. It's so inexpensive that you can actually put it on anything. Color sensors, light sensors, all these things are so cheap now that the projects people we had, all the stuff that people are doing now with wearables. We had these ideas.
Yeah.
Like the idea of like sound reactive clothing or like dance reactive shoes. It's not like people just came up with this like last week. Everyone who was doing wearables at the time had these ideas, but you couldn't do it.
Yeah, the big bridge is being able to write software for phones, I think, is a big piece.
Being able to write software for phones, being able to get batteries and LEDs and sensors for low cost. So it's kind of interesting to see that some of the ideas, the project notebooks that I had from back then, are projects I do now.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of an opposite experience. I have, so I dug in my archives, and not too far off from the same time you were doing these things, I was doing wearables too. So I wanted to start off with this. So there you were doing your wearables, and I was doing mine. This was me building a virtual reality rig to explore inside of Second Life, which I'm not sure if it's still around. And so here's some close-up photos. I have cobbled together all these different pieces of how to get into Second Life. And this was my wearable rig, and I was writing software to try to piece it all together. And New Year's Eve, I actually spent about 6 hours inside, and I got really dizzy. Yeah, other wearable projects that I tried to work on that didn't work out, I hacked together a POV that went on the side of a shoe, so when you ran, it would spell AN1. AN1 was a basketball shoe company. Yeah. And I actually pitched this to a bunch of people. It was in an advertising agency, and when I ran back and forth in the room, they thought I was crazy. Next up, I made a search engine belt buckle. This one was back when there was a search engine that allowed you to look at what people were searching for. So
it was like an HPI pack or something?
Yeah, I hacked together this thing, and it was like, it had to always stay on instead of off, and then there had to be Wi-Fi, and it wasn't really working, but eventually I got it working, and I had to be in the local area. The only problem was the belt buckle was disgusting because it was actually looking at, they weren't filtering the search results.
Yeah, and like now you can go to Google and like see what people are searching for, but like Like
perfectly
99%
sanitized. Yeah,
of it is actually not there.
it's all bad. We might not.
People are looking for that. That's disgusting.
We might not make it as a species. So the other, so speaking of belt buckles, we just recently did a 3D printed one with electronics. I'm wearing that today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So if you
Wait, what's going on?
if you see here, I'll stand up a little bit. There's my Adafruit belt buckle, and it has LEDs. It's lit up. So you can check that out. Yeah. I also did some other experiments with video recording. Trying to figure out ways to add music to sunglasses. This was a gym project where you would have all of your stats of what you're trying to do in a gym. You can see there was a
Were
pocket
you also
PC.
using a micro optical? What is the video display?
That was a hacked iTap, I believe. There was a Spot Watch project where I was pumping RSS into the Spot Watch, which used FM technologies. And then I had Sony as a client in my previous career, and we were working on all sorts of stuff with iBows, and this was me trying to live inside of an iBow to see what it saw. And then that got me interested in some...
You and your iBow friends.
Yeah, that got me interested in some pet projects, literally. And this is an example of one that came out later. I had tried to get Purina to do a dog pedometer. Now Fitbits are out and everything. So lots of failures in wearables because it was a little early. And then after I met you and I was doing stuff with Make and Hackaday and Adafruit, this is just putting LED piping on clothing, and then recently Becky squirted me with a hose for a helmet. So that's a little bit of a journey that I wanted to give folks. I think experimentation in wearables is good, and don't be scared to make a fool out of yourself because no one will ever see it on the internet, like we just did now. Okay, so
And get like a Koshnik.
yeah.
Straightened out.
Oh yeah, that was a nice segue. Kokochnik is the code. 10% off everything in Adafruit store expires 11:59 p.m. tonight. Component of the week, Ladyada. We got about 8 minutes or so for the show,
Yeah,
so we're
sure.
going to go through this pretty fast.
Yeah.
Alligator clips.
Okay.
We use these for everything in wearables. We got some.
Yeah,
People love 'em.
We got this pack of alligator clips, and what I like about this is it actually got extra colors. So you get 12, and there's 2 of each color. So you get white, yellow, black, green, red, yellow, blue, whatever, 6 colors. So you get them, and then these are the small clips. And I want to show what the big clips look like so you know what I'm talking about when I say these are small, because there's also clips that are larger. Let me open up this bag. And these clips are a little bit not as useful. So I think that these are 1 1/4 inch is what they're called. And these are 1 1/2 inch. And it doesn't look that much different, but it does actually make a difference in, when you're using it, because the teeth are much bigger. These are nice and slim. It's hard to tell, but there's a difference, especially when you use them. You're like, oh wow, these are way chunkier. Another thing you want to look for is make sure that they're crimped well, so you can see that there's a nice crimping here, and also that the wire gauge is nice and thick. A lot of times, even though the wires look like they're kind of thick and beefy, the actual copper inside is super skinny because they're trying to save money. So for these, this 12 pack, I did get them custom made. I think I got them with 24 wire gauge, like nice copper, and it's true copper wire, so they won't break on you. There's nothing worse than an alligator clip that's broken in the middle, and it does happen sometimes.
It does.
So these are really handy, and for wearables, they're good because they allow you to experiment with stretching things out, and they can act sort of as threads. I mean, with wearable stuff, usually you don't solder to them. You have these sewing pads, and the pads are large enough that you can clip onto them.
Okay, so that's component of the week.
Clips.
Next
I
up.
really like these. I use these all the time.
Yeah, might run a couple minutes over, but that's okay because we got to do questions. So this is Material Spotlight. I just wanted to quickly go over wire.
Wire.
So we have conductive thread, and we have all sorts of wires. We sell this wire. So one of the questions that had come up before is, why can't you just use wire in wearable electronics?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so we have the solid core wire, and this is like a box of the solid core wire, and it comes on these spools. And solid core wire is it's exactly what it sounds like. There's a single core of copper inside. And then there's also stranded wire, and stranded wire is kind of like what you see behind me. It's multiple wires are woven together. And when you're doing wearables and anything that moves, anything that is not like in a box will never move or twist or anything, like which is just tough. Almost everything shifts sometimes. If you're using solid core wire, it's more likely to break. Solid core wire is easier to use on a breadboard because you can poke it into the holes. It can be sometimes easier to use for point-to-point wiring on perf board and stuff because it's stiff, it holds its shape. It's sometimes less expensive because it's just a solid core rather than this multiple stranded thing. But the trade-off is that it will bend and flex and crack quite easily. You only have to flex it a couple times before it breaks, which is a very common problem actually in people's projects. Hold on, gotta fix my Kokoshnik. Okay, so when you have stranded wire, the multiple strands they give it the flexibility. So there's less crushing or pinching on the individual strands because they flex around each other. They kind of bend and twist, and that makes them better for use with anything that moves. The problem is where it's soldered to, it becomes a solid connection, right? Because you have the wire stranded, but then where it gets soldered to, that the solder fills it in and is no longer flexible. I mean, that's the point. It's soldered. It's stiff. So then it usually fails at that point. That's usually where the cracking occurs. So, with anything that's clothing, which it moves so much, that even that solder point is very delicate and it's very easy for it to crack. So that's why, and it also, even the most flexible wire is, you can't sew it. It's hard to sew because it is thicker than thread.
Yeah.
You certainly can't put it in a sewing machine.
Yeah.
The nice thing about sewing is that you don't have to use a soldering iron. So some projects can be done with very thin stranded core wire, but and it can be used for like passing large amounts of power. But the thread is what it is. It is actually wire because it's stainless steel, but it's ultra stranded. It's strands of extremely fine thread, so fine that basically it's as flexible as cotton.
Okay. Well, this is great because when I was trying to think of what material spotlight we would do, what I wanted to do is answer a question by also showing a material. So this is tin copper.
You could use tin copper or copper wire, but yeah, basically, you can, if you're going to use something, use stranded wire, unless you want it to be stiff to have a shape. If you want it to have a shape, then you use solid core, because solid core wire holds a shape. So, people, for example, when they made the animal masks, when you want to have something that is has a form, solid core wire will hold that form much better because it's stiffer.
Okay. It's question and answer time, Ladyada. People have questions. You have answers.
I have them.
We have a speed round here. We're going to do 3 really quick. The first question is, how do you make a waterproof switch for outerwear project that can hold up to driving rain? Could you use the light up buttons, waterproof on off with a red LED ring, 16 millimeter on or off, ID?
I think that the best switch we have right now is we have the switch with wires. There's like a wired switch, and I'm almost positive it's waterproof. Thing is, there's no real such thing as waterproof electronics unless it's you have to encase the whole thing. But I think that has gasketing, and so that's probably your best bet.
Okay.
So check out the tactile switch with wires. I don't remember the part number.
Next up, aside from using something like permanent like SlyGuard 184, or taking a headdress with something like Never Wet, are there any suggestions for making components and potentially LiPo batteries able to stand up against the elements? I'm currently working on a hoodie that will be fighting wind, rain, and fog to help keep me visible during my outdoor activities in our not quite so cold but oh so damp California winters.
What you can do is, have a box or a pouch that's waterproof that contains these things. I mean, we have
An OtterBox?
Yeah, an OtterBox. We have small waterproof boxes that you can use.
Put all them in there.
Gasket. You can use the gasket connectors. They're called what's the name of the ports?
Oh yeah, I forgot the name of it.
Can't remember the name.
Yeah.
But they're like these
They're gaskety.
gaskets things. I don't remember the name, but if you look in the store under waterproof stuff,
Yeah.
and they'll waterproof your wires, and then use a lot of epoxy. You use like a marine epoxy around your stuff. That'll also keep it waterproof, and then use the waterproof strip. But it's just like your phone isn't waterproof either. If you put your phone outside in the wet, it'll also get damaged. So if you treat your electronics like you treat your phone, people's like, oh, like these electronics will get damaged in the rain. I'm like, you wouldn't use your laptop out in the rain. You would put it away. Yeah. And even if you were listening to music, you'd only bring the headphones out so you could listen to music while it's raining, or keep it under a waterproof layer. That's what you would do.
I think the OtterBox is a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question, Ladyada. If the Flora passes power through from its source, does it mean I wouldn't need a MOSFET or secondary power supply for something higher powered like a heating pad?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you want to control that, a MOSFET would be really good for powering something power consuming like the heating pad, which draws like 500 milliamps.
Yeah.
If you want to connect it directly, you can just use a switch. But if you want to connect it through a microcontroller, then you'll need some sort of electronic switch like a MOSFET. We have a P-channel MOSFET and channel MOSFET in the store that would do a good job. The nice thing about heating pads, it's a resistor, so you don't need a kickback inductor or anything. You don't have to worry about that because it's just a resistor. It's a very big, hot resistor.
And it's prize time. So here's what we're going to give away this week.
The Kakashnik.
We're not going to give away Kakashnik.
No.
We're going to give away a set of the small and large alligator clips.
Oh, wow.
Woohoo! Okay,
Look at
so
these.
Ladyada, all I want you to do is don't do this yet until I tell you the whole thing. There's 3 little pieces of paper over there. Fold it up. You can't see anything.
I can't see them.
Just pick one of them. All right. The winner
I don't know
is
what I did.
one of the people who asked questions.
Oh.
Okay. Martin Hoker Martinez, you asked about the waterproof switch for outerwear. If you see this, please email support@adafruit.com. We have your prize and we will send it to you. This is recorded forever. Google's probably doing some type of text translation. It's probably on your phone right now. There might be a car outside of your home. Okay. Okay, so that's the show. Thank you for standing in and doing the Wearable Electronics show for Becky this week.
Yeah.
Becky will be back next week, and
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll have lots of fun
These are
things
little
to share.
pom-poms.
And with that, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next week.